So when handling a mask, the number one thing that I would like to convey to you is use hand hygiene before and after. And hand hygiene can be washing your hands, soap and water, a good rinse, pat dry, shake dry on a towel. Preferably, you only want to handle the mask when your hands are dry. If your hands are wet, it adds droplets. The virus can soak through the mask, regardless of what it's made of. Water and moisture tends to degrade the integrity of a mask over time. So having a mask that's able to air dry fairly rapidly, like paper, some cloths, that's also an important part of this, is that the droplets that you spray into the mask are able to dry. The hand hygiene before and after is just crucial. The masks itch, they bother us, they bother all of us. You're not the only one that has an itch, or your eyes bugging you, or some other reason that you gotta scratch your nose, pick something out of your teeth, take a drink, the mask slips or slides down your face. It happens to everyone. But the major thing that I see personally with people handling masks is they're reaching up and just touching their face. So I'd like to encourage everyone to figure out some way to be able to carry hand sanitizer with you. I carry it in my pocket. I have scrubs that have kind of cargo pockets on the side, and I just keep a bottle in there that's about as tall as my pocket. I can reach down, get a squirt, and spread it all over my hands. You want to pay particular attention to your fingernails too. Try to get some up underneath your fingernails, but again, when your hands start feeling gritty or grimy, it's time to wash with soap and water. So hand hygiene, one of the first major things that really needs to be stressed with handling a mask. The second is I'll go over donning, the donning and doffing process. So donning is putting on protective equipment, personal protective equipment. Doffing is taking that equipment off. There is a process by which I've learned over the years and through some extensive training in infection prevention and control to be able to do this. The first starts with hand hygiene. So I do have a bottle of hand sanitizer that's down here off screen, but I want to show you what that process is. First, I'm just going to remove my mask, hand hygiene. What I'd like to do first is prepare a surface. And I have a surface that's prepared here that's right in front of me, as you can't quite see. You can take a clean Kleenex, clean paper towel, clean washcloth, but only if you're going to use it once, just be reasonable. But take it and lay it down where you're going to put the mask. So now that I've performed hand hygiene, I'm going to grasp the mask just by the strings, pull them up around the ears, and straight away from the face. So at this point, my hands have touched the strings, hands have touched the mask, and I don't want to touch the inside of the mask. I don't want to touch the outside of the mask. So what do? I take it and set it down face first so that the outside of the mask is touching that surface. Now the surface down there is contaminated. Right now as I'm speaking, what I'm speaking above right here, a podium, is potentially catching droplets that are coming out of my mouth and nose when I speak. So it's not only the cough, not only the sneeze, but it's also talking sometimes spreads this. And I've prepared this so that I can do this presentation specifically, and I know what's covered and what's not. So putting the mask back on, a little bit of hand sanitizer, I'm grabbing another mask. So this is a commercially made regular paper surgical type mask. And for this, after sanitizing my hands, I'm gonna just open it up gently from the inside. I'm gonna pre-form the nose, kind of fit my nose. And you'll learn to do this over time if it has one of these metal strips in it. Some are good, some are plastic and they don't bend so well, but this particular one is pretty good and it molds well. And it's a pretty commonly available surgical mask. So after doing this, again, my hands are still clean, the mask is brand new or has been laundered. So I'm gonna take this like this, grasp the strings, bring it to my nose, up and around my ears, and it's pretty much in place. And it's in place for however long it's going to be. It takes a little bit of practice to try to get your face to be able to move the mask around some. But after this, after I place it, my hands have touched my ears, my hair, something else. I don't want to touch the mask again if I don't have to, so I'll squirt a hand sanitizer again. So if I need to adjust it, hands are clean again, try to get them dry. And then I'm gonna try to not touch my face, my eyes, and mold it to my nose, mold it to the face, maybe adjust it a little bit down here, and hand sanitize again, hand hygiene. So again, whatever you're able to do for hand hygiene, that's really the main thing. So again, hand hygiene, grab the mask, mold it, put it on, hand hygiene again, and you're good to go. If you need to adjust it, hand hygiene, touch the mask, hand hygiene again, and you should be good. Once you put the mask in place, the mask should stay on the entire time that you're out, the entire time that you're out and about. Anytime you take the mask off, it's possible that you're spreading these droplets. One of the important things I wanted to stress about the droplets and the importance of the mask and what it's made out of. There's a lot of controversy that's out there, a lot of controversy saying the masks don't work. The masks do work. For every droplet that is produced, the droplet's essentially a little sphere of water. Now let's talk about the science behind this. The volume of a sphere, the equation's 4/3 pi r cubed. So for every doubling of r, the radius of the droplet, the volume of the droplet increases 8 times, 2 to the third. So it increases by 2 to the thirds amount. So the larger the droplet is, the more it contains. The smaller droplets are generally, those are the ones that are kind of airborne. Those are the ones that can make it through the mask. They do tend to travel some still as it is, but the volume of them is very, very small. There's more of them, but a much smaller volume. So it's these larger particles that we're trying to trap. If one small drop that gets, if the mask is big enough to trap one small drop that contains 1 million virus particles, say, anything larger than that, anything that's twice as wide as that, 8 million particles in it. Talking about the science behind it, we want to trap those bigger particles by trapping them in the mask. And once they get trapped in the mask, they can dry out. Once they're dried out, they can last for some time. And that's why we don't want to repetitively keep touching the mask. Certain masks have different capability of trapping these things, and I want to talk to you about the N95 style respirator and the mask with valves in the front of the mask. So this is an N95 style mask, and there's with these masks, these are put on slightly differently than the surgical type masks, because these are put on over your head. And I've even got my glasses on here because I always wear at work. So with these particular masks, you hand hygiene, which I did after I took this mask off, hand hygiene, and hold the mask like this so that you're able to access the straps. And you place it on, you can mold it. Bring one up, and another one like this. And usually with these, since your hand is on the face of the mask, you can go ahead and adjust the nose bridge to them. But then after that, the mask is in place. This is the type of mask that both protects me from spitting stuff out, but it also protects me from breathing in 95% of the particulate matter that may be in the air. And it's not perfect, but it blocks the majority of things enough that it is much more comfortable for us and safer for us to be able to work around patients who have any kind of viral illness. So removal of these, I hand hygiene after placing it. So I would hand hygiene again and grab the mask. So if you're going to reuse the mask, some sources say that you can do this, but again, your hand is on the outside of the mask. And I did this intentionally just to show you that I've been breathing things in that have been protecting me from particles. So what's going on with my hand? My hand's now contaminated, and it now has whatever particles I was being protected against are now on the outside of this mask. The inside is also protected. So with these have an upper strap and a lower strap. Upper strap generally goes towards the top of the head. The bottom strap, sometimes they crisscross in the back, but I find that this is more comfortable where the bottom one goes around my neck. It just holds it to my face better. So with this kind of mask, once you hand hygiene, the way that you protect yourself from holding that mask like you were when you put it on, you get your straps and you hold the strap while you're holding it against your face. And you essentially hold the strings. Whether you take the top or bottom off, you gotta figure out which one is more comfortable for you. For some people it's taking the bottom one off, some it's the top. But it's a lot harder can't really go back on like this very, very effectively because the bottom strap has to come across the face mask. So now, if you're able to hold it by the strings, you can also set it down on your prepared surface, but use caution on where the strings go. When you lay the strings down, you try to set them so they're not quite inside, not quite outside. At some places of work, they want you to keep them inside the mask. So it just depends on what you're looking to try to do and what kind of setting you're in. So once you put the mask on, and once the mask is in place, you want to leave it in place. And once, for us at work, once that seal is in place, I don't want to disturb that seal. I want to keep that seal as much as I can while I'm at work, because again, I'm protecting myself just like dust particles, like people have, you're cleaning the house and looking for dust bunnies and you stir up a whole bunch of dust. That's what we're looking to do in our setting, is not breathe in the dust. So once the mask is on, it should stay in place for the entire time that you're out. And again, hand hygiene, fiddle with it if you need to. With kids, it's a little bit difficult, to say the least. We had to find masks that our kids liked and they enjoyed wearing, they're kind of comfortable. And I know that as we go forward, this is going to be a perpetual challenge for all of us to try to keep our kids from fiddling with the mask. So my best recommendation with that is frequent hand wiping, if we start running short of wipes, even light bleach wipes so they can rinse off with water afterwards. Just something that if they're really fiddling with their face, or they start sneezing and coughing, that they have a way that they can clean their hands more effectively. It's going to be hard to keep the masks on them all the time, but as with social settings, the more peers that are around that have it, they may feel more comfortable wearing the mask in front of their friends. And I'm hoping that that's the case with these settings as people come back into schools. So there's a few other things I want to go over. They're don'ts, things to not do. I'm intentionally going to show you some of these reasons. So don't do this, because it brings the mask down on your neck, which is now in an exposed area. Plus, you got to grab the mask and bring it back up into place. Don't do this. Dangling from the ear. So you now have the inside of your mask, the outside of your mask. It's kind of dangling on your clothing. Taking it off, folding it up, holding it. Still kind of the same thing. There's a few things that you want to try to avoid, which is folding it up, putting it in a pocket. Because now it's in my pocket until those viral particles dry out, they're still active and they can still be infected. So touching the inside of the mask, you try to avoid that. And again, as we go forward, it's going to be difficult to learn how to do these things, but with some practice and with wearing the mask more often, I think that you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. So I've thoroughly contaminated everything with the mask in my hands. Place it back on, another tiny squirt.